Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Way. I am a resident and citizen of Richmond, Virginia. Uh, some time ago, years ago, I used to write regularly for social media and stepped away. But in light of today being Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday observance, January 19th, 2026, I wrote a thing. It's a long one, so I figured I'd help y'all out and read it so you don't have to. Bear with my reading. We'll do our best. Dearest fellow Americans and friends of freedom, years ago I swore off social media political commentary as a draining, futile, and too often counterproductive exercise. While my choice has yielded incalculable measures of personal peace and happiness, the circumstances of the moment appear to mandate attendance to more pressing priorities. As we of respectful hearts set aside or at least note this day in observance of the birth of Dr. Martin Luther King, we who enjoy the rights inherited from the labors and sacrifices of Dr. King and all who struggled and acted to advance the causes of civil rights would do well to remember and reflect how the challenges Dr. King and so many friends of freedom faced back then mirror the serious and distressing challenges we face today. It has never been easy to be a friend of freedom. It has been easy to talk of freedom. It has been easy to inherit freedom. It has been easy to luxuriate in freedom's established inertia. But the assertion of freedom and the protection of freedom have never been and never will be easy or long separated from personal risk and sacrifice. Dr. King and so many friends of freedom understood and accepted the risk and sacrifices of asserting and protecting freedom half a century ago. If we value what we inherited in this nation, if we value our younger and unborn numbers enough to want to bequeath them something better, if we value our shared standing and reputation around the world, we must come to understand and accept what our predecessors took as a fact of life. There are so many forms of speech beyond just words. The Supreme Court has recognized money as speech. The social justice intelligentsia has recognized silence as speech, consent for the perpetuation of injustice. Violence and war are speech. Politics is a collective social contract to practice speech without violence. We, the people of the United States of America, enshrined freedom of nonviolent speech as the first line of defense in asserting and protecting all other freedoms. Conventional forms of speech are challenging for many of the same reasons I myself found social media commentary a prohibitively burdensome pursuit. In a world with human agency, speech invites response, which in turn invites more response, which can quickly escalate into a seemingly never-ending, time-consuming, and entirely pointless endeavor. Words beget more words. Money begets more money. Silence begets more silence. Violence begets more violence. Politics begets more politics. So much speech can feel pointless because so many who engage in speech are primarily interested only in what they want to say. We struggle to have meaningful conversations in most situations because so few seem capable of hearing over the yearning lure of their own voices and their desires to impose their will. Dr. King happened upon a speech hack for the ages. Inspired by the example of Indian freedom fighter Mohandas K. Gandhi, King realized that for physically and militarily outmatched peoples yearning to breathe free, there exists one form of speech and one form of speech alone that offers a credible opportunity to make oneself heard. Nonviolent direct action. Nonviolent direct action is the art of engaging one's opponent with civil disobedience without perpetrating, participating in, or perpetuating violence. Nonviolent direct action has proven effective in activism and the fight for freedom because it is the one form of speech that is naturally asymmetric. The experience of nonviolent direct action is so personally uncomfortable, so superficially risky, and so potentially sacrificial that all but the most committed are willing to put themselves on the line for a sustained effort. Fewer still who enjoy the comforting benefits of inequity, authoritarianism, tyranny, and oppression are willing to absorb the discomfort of attempting to speak back in kind. They try to circumvent the conversation with a more comfortably accessible form of speech, violence. But the inability to respond in kind calls attention to the weakness of any counterargument, which in turn breaks through the national chatter and sways the levers of politics. The commitment of Dr. King and all friends of freedom who stood with and supported him is how we got here, friends. The commitment to nonviolent direct action is how we inherited what has now been a half century of the Voting Rights Act, pummeled but still standing for the time being, making the United States fully democratic for the 1/5 of its short but storied history. Thanks to Dr. King, we the people finally enjoy a fully realized and franchised republic, if we can keep it. Can we keep it? The stakes are high. The President and his Deputy Chief of Staff, with the aid of the Homeland Security Secretary, are deliberately attempting to agitate the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and much of the nation into some form of violent response they can frame as terrorism or insurrection. The administration needs a terrorist event or insurrectionist incident to justify the invocation of the Insurrection Act. The administration wants access to broad emergency powers as a means of consolidating broad general powers. The administration wants to declare martial law. The administration needs martial law so that we, the people, are too scared or too situationally immobile to hold this administration accountable for its failures at the next election in November. Until November, and likely beyond, this president and this administration will be working overtime to claim and even create as many emergencies as it possibly can in a desperate and sadly transparent power grab. Congress will not stand up to or stop this president. The Supreme Court will not stand up to or stop this president. We, the people, are now the last and only line of defense left standing for this experiment of a nation. And we have but two tools, two weapons they do not appear to have and would not use even if they did: restraint and sobriety. I am writing today largely as a response to the Jake Lang incident in Minneapolis. A misguided and misanthropic provocateur staged a Quran-burning stunt as an attempt to bait the passions of the Muslim Somali populace and those who stand with them as humans. He succeeded in baiting the passions of the people beyond even his control. But for the actions of a single individual who kept his head and kept the bigger picture in mind by helping usher Mr. Lang to safety, a fool may have been elevated to the status of martyr, and so much we hold dear may have been put in jeopardy. We who consider ourselves true friends of freedom cannot have any more Jake Lang incidents. After Charlie Kirk and the toxic dialogue in the aftermath of his assassination, another death at the hands of a misguided would-be ally could derail a resistance that is starting to build serious momentum for better things. Time is on our side, friends. Like an outmatched chess player, those tempted towards tyranny are desperate to speed up activity, to distress us beyond the bounds of rational thought, to flood our bandwidths with so many provocations and assaults on our moral dignity and sense of physical safety that we surrender our minds to our passions. In surrendering to our passions, we would unwittingly surrender the entire contest for our republic. No morally sane human can presume to talk another human out of the agency of their emotions, their moral outrages, their political passions. I love and respect you all too much to presume to tell you what you should or should not do. The best I can reasonably do is affirm that you have something in common with those who oppose you and who seek to wrest this republic from you. The things you feel, the things you may want to do, are exactly what they want you to feel and exactly what they want you to do. They want you to do what feels most natural to you right now. They need you to do what feels most natural. All their plans depend on making friends of freedom look like enemies of safety. The two weapons they do not anticipate and for which they have no countermeasures are our sobriety and our restraint. My father had a practiced habit of never punishing me while he was actively angry. His argument was that to punish a child while angry was self-indulgent, more about the parent's frustration than the child's correction. His argument was that self-indulgent justice, while emotionally understandable if not justifiable, could never be truly just. Is our job as citizens merely to win, or is it to be just? Many times, being just means doing the things you don't want to do. At other times, being just means restraining yourself from doing the things you most want to do. If we are to preserve this storied republic, I would submit that we may want to consider holding ourselves to the standards set by our Constitution's preamble, to be more perfect, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to rally around defending our common interest, to defer our personal and emotional interest to the general welfare, that through our restraint and our sobriety, through our sacrifice, we might assert and secure the blessings of liberty, not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us, those who deserve at least as abundant an inheritance as we received and to which we aspire. I hope you know and trust the extent to which I personally respect the legitimacy of all manner of moral disgust, anger, and despair at these shabby times in which we live. There is no passion you feel I have not felt, and no morally sane sentiment I can help but see as credibly legitimate. We remember and honor Dr. King because he chose and walked the hard path. We remember and honor Dr. King because others chose and walked the hard path with him. The path they walked built the runways from which we all have taken flight. If we respect the cost of those sacrifices and the lofty heights to which we have been able to ascend because of them, I hold hope in my heart that each of us takes stock this year and steels our hearts to doing whatever it takes to prove ourselves at least as valiant as true friends of freedom. Thank you for the time you've spent listening and any internal attempt to actually hear me. I really hate stepping away from my own personal peace to share thoughts right now, but I love all of you and the idea of what this country can be more than any personal peace. Have a lovely day and trust that better days are ahead if we have the wisdom and courage to make them. Keep calm, rally on.